Okay, so cactus kit. We're going to start with the white flowers today. So we need the white. Which is tied up with the pink for some reason. Don't tear the yarn apart. Just untie it. Okay, so these should be pretty quick. They're very small. Okay. Hook. Alrighty, so we're gonna make two flowers of different sizes. A medium and a small. And for the medium, we're going to start with a chain 2 and 5 single crochet in the second chain from the hook. So I'm going to make a slip knot here. So I'm going to take the yarn around my thumb, hold the tail between my fingers over here, bring the working yarn up between my fingers, and then take the loop on my thumb and pass it over the yarn that I'm holding. Grab that top part and then tighten down like that. Put that on my hook, tighten down. And I'm going to chain 2. So I'm going to go back against that yarn, rotate the hook so I'm holding the yarn in the little cleft there, pull through the loop on my hook for 1 chain and do it again for 2 chains. So this is the loop on my hook, this is the first chain for my hook, and this is the second chain for my hook here. So now we're going to do 5 single crochet in this second chain from the hook right here through this opening. So we're going to insert, yarn over, pull up a loop like so, 2 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through both loops on the hook for 1, and you can mark that top of that stitch, put a stitch marker there if you want to keep track of it that way. And then we're going to do this 4 more times. So insert, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both loops on the hook for 2, again for 3, four, and 5. Now we have here the loop on our hook, and then 1 single crochet here, 1 single crochet here, 1 single crochet here, so that's 3, and then 1 here for 4, 1 here for 5. So this is what we're going to join to where it says join. We're going to slip stitch to this first single crochet. So I'm going to get under both loops of this single crochet like that, pull up a loop, and then pull that loop through the loop of my hook, tighten it down a little. Now we are going to chain 3, so 1, 2, 3, and then slip stitch in the same stitch that we joined to. So this right here, if you, especially from the back, you can see our loop goes through that stitch there. So I'm gonna back under here, pull up a loop, pull through the loop on my hook like so for 1 little petal, and then we're going to slip stitch in the next single crochet. So here's the edge of the single crochet that I just worked into. Here's the tops of the next single crochet. So we're going to go under there, pull up a loop, pull that loop through the loop on our hook, and then chain 3, 1, 2, 3, slip stitch back into the same single crochet like so, and we're repeating this around. So slip stitch into the next stitch right here, 1, 2, 3, slip stitch back into the same, slip stitch into the next stitch, 1, 2, 3, slip stitch into the same stitch again, and then slip stitch into our last stitch here. 1, 2, 3, slip stitch back into that stitch. Did I split the loop? I'm going to back this up a little bit because I got this little piece of fluff here. Okay, so I still got my chain 3. I'm just going to slip stitch in here again. Okay. Now we're back here, and this is our previous join here. This isn't a stitch to work into, so we made it all the way around. And let's see, what does it say? Repeat from round, join 5 petals. Are we fastening off? It doesn't specify, I would assume. Okay. So I'm just gonna slip stitch back into here, fasten off. And it doesn't quite say to leave a tail, but I know we have to sew these on. So I'm just gonna go ahead and leave a tail. Now this center part, just gonna, I wouldn't need much yarn. Pull that through. Now this center part has a hole right here. You could either weave this around this tail like across and tighten and tie down to close it if you want, or you could leave it like that if you like it. For now I'll leave it and see how it looks later. Now our small flower, this is really similar. I just started a magic circle by habit. We're gonna chain 2, but this time we're only doing 4 single crochet. So 1, 2, and then insert into this second chain from the hook for 4 single crochet. 1, 2, 3. This yarn just got a lot thinner. 4. Okay, and we're going to join. So you can count back like we just did before. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now sometimes with these small bits and pieces, things are kind of sideways. So right now, this is 1 loop of my first single crochet, and this right here is the second loop of my first single crochet. It's just lying flat or sideways looking. So I'm gonna make sure I get under that first one, get under that second one, and then slip stitch like so. And then I think we're doing the same thing, except we're chaining 2 this time. So 1, 2, slip stitching into the same spot. And then our next top of our stitch is right here. Again, it's sideways. So we're going to slip stitch in the next here. And then again, chain 2, slip stitch back into the same spot. You can see that little opening that we just made by going through, right back through there. Okay, and our next again is like laying facing us instead of being on the outside. So it's this loop here, this loop here. So I'm going to slip under those, do a slip stitch, 1, 2, slip stitch back in the same spot, and then one more. So we got right here are 2 loops, slip under, 1, 2, slip stitch back into the same stitch. Okay, and then we are going to join right here to our previous join, and leave a tail. I'm going to take this tail in particular to the back. I will with the other one later too, I'm sure. Hey, don't do that. Rude. Anyway, so here are the 2 flowers. Now, the next part, I'm going to do all the assemblies at the end, but the next part are the tendrils. So this one required a bit of deciphering. The pattern, I don't think here is written very clearly. I mean, a little more than not clearly. I think it's not really written correctly. So I did one of each, which you're supposed to make 2. And here is the concept, what we're looking for. Now, we need for this the yarn E, which is what we made the last set of cactus bulbs with. This right here, and we will do this. Why have you done this? Okay, so now this one, where is it? Okay, so normally when you make these, you have a small tail from the start of your chain, and then you have to deal with that later. This is my end where this is my tail for sewing. On these ones, what I did was after I started, I wove my end into the yarn I was about to work into, because then you don't have the tail to weave in at the end. So I'll probably do it that way, although I did it with this needle, which I imagine would be much easier. I'll try it with this one, and if it doesn't work, we just won't do it. But okay, here we go. So we're gonna chain 3, so slip knot, and then chain 3. Oh wait, I'll try weaving the end in. I already forgot. So this is how I did this. I took this needle, well, not this one, up at the top. If you have a different needle, feel free. Worked it through. Don't think this is gonna work with the size, but we'll see. And with the point being blunt, like this, you know, it's rough going right now, but this is about what I did, except I got further. Okay, anyway, so then after doing that, preferably further down, I threaded this through, held on to the knot up here, and pulled it through. Which, that looks okay, not great. I'll try it one more time to see if I can get the end further in. However, I'll do one of them the normal way anyway, in case you don't want to try this. That doesn't even really seem like it worked. And then you would just basically hold this knot and chain like so. Worked a little better with the other kind. So anyway, you can do that however and wherefore. Not that it really makes that much of a difference, but in case you don't want to. Now I've made a mess. It's alright, the yarn will get over it. Okay, so chain 3. 1, 2, 3. I might do it with my other needle for the other ones just for my own peace of mind because it's easier. All right, so we have chain 3. Now we're going to yarn over like this. So we're just going to back against that yarn, rotate to grab it. Okay, and then we are going to insert hook in the 3rd chain from the hook. So 1, 2, 3. Insert, yarn over, pull up a loop. Okay. Yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops. So we have 1, 2. We're going to pull through these 2, but not this one. 1, 2. Okay. Then repeat. So yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through the first 2 again. 1, 2. Now we have 3. So up until here we're fine for these directions. So 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. 1, 2, 3. And then slip stitch into the beginning chain. So back into the same spot, slip stitch. Okay, got a little bobble. Now chain 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So normally when you say repeat and there's asterisks here, it's repeat within the asterisks, right? So here, though, we're repeating from the beginning, except for the chain 3, down past the asterisk, all the way back to the chain 8 across. So I honestly don't know technically if that's right or wrong the way it's written, because if you just repeated in between the asterisks, you want it does not turn, like it wouldn't make anything. But you're going back to this all the way through this step back to the chain 8. So, and then you're doing it as many times as necessary to get as many bobbles as you need. So here we have 8. 1, 2, 3, 3rd chain from the hook. We're going to yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through the first 2, yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through the first 2, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 of those, slip stitch. That's 2. And then chain 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we need one with 3. So after this one will be done. So 1, 2, 3, yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through the first 2, yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull up a loop, 4 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through the first 2, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3, slip stitch. And then it says end with chain 3. So 1, 2, 3. And then fasten off. So I'll do another one, tighten it down, and leave a small tail for sewing on. Here we are. Now we do the same thing again, except you just repeat it at the end for another bobble for 4, and then you repeat it twice for 6. So they don't actually take that long. So now if I do the other thing with my other needle, it just saves me having to weave in an end later. Oh, I should have kept this one here. So I start at the right spot. If you have another needle and want to try this with a different one, I think with the orange one it would just kind of be a little messier. Okay. Okay, so hold that knot. 1, 2, 3, and then yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull up a loop, and so on. Repeat that through the first 2, pull through all 3, slip, yeah, split a loop there. Okay, so this time I will go to 4 instead of 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so now we're at 3 again, which is where we left off on the last one. And just one more, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then again, find your third chain from the hook, yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through the first 2, repeat, and then yarn over, pull through all 3, insert, and then chain 3 to end, and then fasten off and trim a tail for sewing on. Let's go right here. Okay, and 6 will be the same, so I'll just go up to 4 and then come back. Okay, so there we go with 4. And we'll do our 5th one right here. And one more for 6. No. 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay. Okay. And then 1, 2, 3. Fasten off. Okay, so here are tendrils. So you make 2 of each set of, 2 3s, 2 4s, 2 6s. So there they are. Now, color C. we decided color C was the dark green. Well, the dark, bright green, I guess. Yeah. Which is dark green, according to the little booklet. Okay, what are we doing here? Oh, we're making this in a row. That's fun. I never know where to start them so that they're not annoying to undo, but I guess that's fine. Okay, so we're going to chain 13. Now this, I'm really only going to have to demonstrate the first 2 rows basically, because it's the same thing every row. I'll probably do a little bit more than that to be sure, but we're going to slip knot. Chain 13. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And just because I don't think we've counted anything in a while, each one of these V's is a chain. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, and then the loop on my hook. So we're going to single crochet in the second chain from the hook and each hook across. Okay, so loop on my hook, first chain, second chain, insert, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both loops on the hook. That's 1. Now if you want to mark this so that you know your chain from your first single crochet, that's totally fine. And then we're going to keep going across. So here we have the edge of what we just worked into. Okay, that is not where we're working. Okay, this loop goes around there. This right here is the top of our next stitch. Now when you're working across a chain like that, you can't, well, you could kind of work under both, but you just work under the top loop of your chain and make sure you don't twist your chain. So you want this nice row of V's facing you, not this bumpy side. So inserting into here, single crochet, like so. Now into here, single crochet. We're going to do that all the way down. Now we're not going to have, even we chained 13, we're going to have less single crochet than that because we used one as a turning chain on the end because we went into the second chain from the hook. So this will leave us with 12 single crochet. It's okay that it's curling a little. It'll straighten itself out as it gets bigger. Okay, almost done. Now this is what we look like with just one left. We got this knot here, and we got this loop here, and the bottom loops down further, so insert. Okay, this is what we look like at the end of this row. This is what the beginning looks like. Okay, so 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Here's your first one you made, and this little curvy piece, this is your part of your chain that you use to turn, the 13th chain. So now we are going to turn. So we just worked this way, turn, like so, and now chain, which I usually chain 1 before I turn, but chain 1. Okay, so here we are, we just chained. This is our chain right here. We're facing this way now, but this here is the first or last single crochet we just made. So here's our first one we're going to work into. So stop curling. We are going to work in the back loop only, and we are going to single crochet in each single crochet across. So back loop is easy. The front loop is the loop closer to you. The back loop is the loop further from you. Back loop, back loop, back loop, back loop, front loop, front loop, front loop, front loop. We don't work into this. We work under here. Okay, so from here, would go in like this. This loop would be right here. That's the front loop. Now, it's always the loop further from you. You don't have to remember, oh, this one's the back loop, so when I turn, it's going to be closer to me. No, it's always the one further from you. So single crochet, and what it's going to do is it's going to make this line. And then in our next here, so we did one in there. This is the edge of the one we just worked into. Just going to go under the next one and single crochet. Okay, and again, and you certainly can turn this so that you can see the top. Continue this down. Back loop only, all the way across. Oh, also, I would mark down your rows because you're going to be doing this for some rows. So now we're back here at the other end, and we have this curvy one, which we said was our chain to turn. We have this right here, this loop and this loop. This is our last single crochet. So into just that loop right there. Okay, and here's how it looks on the end. You're going to have on the one where you turn with the chain, you're going to have this little curvy bump. You have it over here too, that's okay. We just don't work into those. And now we have this raised line across our design. So here's the loop on our hook. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and then here's our bump of a turning chain. Okay, so now we're going to chain, we're going to turn, and once again loop on our hook, turning chain. Here's the first single crochet that we're going to work into. So we did row 1, we did row 2. Now 2 through 24, which is a lot, write them down, mark them off as you go, are all the same. Now I'll do a couple, one or two more maybe. Now our back loop is right here again, this further from us side, and we're just going to do one single crochet in each of these down. Now if you want to leave a stitch marker in each row so that you can keep track of how many rows you've done, that's fine. If you want to count the bumps to keep track, that's fine too. Okay, here we are at our last stitch. We got this little bump, that's our turning chain. We don't want that. Here's our last little stitch here. Single crochet. Now as you go, you're going to be making these bumps across. I was itchy. Now this is 3 rows, so it's a little harder to count now, but this is our first row of single crochet here. And then this, if you unfold it a little, in here is our second. And then this is our third. Now, if you want to count each of these bumps as 2, that's fine. Like this is 2 rows. Once we complete another one, this will be 2 rows. One thing to keep in mind is to know where your right side is. Your tail indicates where your chain started. So you chained across and then you worked back this way across your chain. So in this case, get back here, chain across. So now our tail is here on the left because we chained across and worked 1 row back this way, 2 row back this way, 3 row back this way. Okay, so this is the way that right side was facing with our tail on the left. If you want to just put a stitch marker in this side, so that you know, you can. That's an easy way to keep track, just throw one in there, but also to know that your tail would be on that side. Now, in this case, if you count from this side, your first 2 rows are kind of a little ditch, little V. So let me do one going back the other way. So now we're going to chain 1 and single crochet in each back loop only across. And also, if you're doing, as long as everything's constant, if you're doing an odd row, if you know what row you're on, then what's facing you at that time should be right side, because you start with 1. So here's row 4. Okay, so from wrong side we have bump of 2 rows and bump of 2 rows. From right side you have V of 2 rows and V of 2 rows. Okay, so the long and the short of it is, do this until you have 24 rows, working in the back loop only for every row. And I will be back after that. Okay, 24 rows later, here we are. Now, whether you count, I'm not sure if I said this clearly enough, whether you count the indents or the raises depends on whether you're facing right side or wrong side. So if you were to count the indentations from this side, 2, 4, 6, well, this wouldn't be 2. I mean, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22. And then you don't have the right, you don't have another indent because you're on facing wrong side. So it matters if you, where your tail is the long and the short of it. Where are we? Fasten off, leaving a tail for sewing. So we're going to leave a tail long enough to sew this together, and also to the thing. Actually, are we? Because we're going to end at the top. Yeah, we're not. We're only gonna, we'll do something else to sew it to the thing. Okay, so fasten off, leaving a tail for sewing. So I'm just gonna do a slip stitch like that, tighten it down, and then we're gonna be sewing these sides together. So I'm just gonna guesstimate that. I'm gonna do this times 3, which will likely be too much, but that's how we're gonna do it. pull this through. Now, with right sides together, so this is our right side with our tail on the left because we chained across, and then our first row working this way, right side was what was facing us. This is because my yarn was 2 pieces of grain tied together, and so I had to weave those ends in. So we're going to fold this so that right sides are facing each other, lining up our stitches down here. Okay. And then we are going to sew together. So let me get my needle and thread it on. Okay. Now, here are our stitches here, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and this right here is 12, this sideways fussy one. And then these are the bottoms of our chain. These little ones that kind of look like a rope. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna, you can either come under both loops of this or just the one, it doesn't super matter. I'm gonna come under the front loop, the closer loop to me, and under the first loop there, like that, and then just continue down under this loop, under this loop, you can definitely do under both of these if you want. It changes, like, you know, the little seam looks a little bit different depending on how you do it, but I don't think it ever matters enough to matter for something like this. Okay, so that's the side. Now this is the wrong side. We're gonna turn this inside out so the right side is facing. So I'm gonna turn this inside out, bring my needle to the top. Okay, and now it wants us to stuff with fiber fill and then use a running stitch to gather the top. I'm gonna gather the top first just because I don't like dealing with fiber fill and sewing at the same time, and I don't think it matters. So I'm just gonna go around here, and I'm gonna go, if I go this way, when I pull to tighten, it'll tighten this up a little more. But if I go this way and I pull to tighten, it'll resist that a little. So I'm going to go back this way, and I'll probably weave that end in, this end in later. But for now, I'm just gonna go around, going through and coming out. Unless we think we're supposed to go through both sides at the same time. But I'm looking at it as like a drawstring. Like, I'm run stitching around and then I'll gather it up like a drawstring. If you wanted to do these, if you like stitched them together and then pulled them, I think you would end up with like a ruffle. So we'll see. Not like I can't redo this if I think it looks bad. Am I back to the beginning? Yeah, because there's my tail. So then I'm just gonna tighten. Okay. And now I'm going to take this inside. Okay, so that's what we look like right now. Just wherever, take it inside. And I'm gonna go under anywhere to tie this off. I grab this loop so that I can't pull it all the way through because I do that a lot. So tie that down. Now, I'll leave this tail for now. I don't think I'm gonna use it to... Hey, why did you come loose when I did that? Oh, because I'm stupid. And I didn't, hold on, retighten after I turned it inside out. This is what happens when you're in a hurry. Okay. Retightened. Down. No, don't tighten this too much. See, that's what I wanted to avoid. Now I'm just going to tie these two together while I'm in here, actually, and I'll deal with that later. About whether I'll probably end up using a different yarn to sew it to the pot. Okay. Ta-da. Now pink flower. Got my pink yarn, and we're doing similar to what we did before, just a little bit bigger. So slip knot, chain 2, 1, 2, and then 6 single crochet in the second chain from hook. So right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This isn't big enough. Lost a loop there. Okay, this was 5, right? 5, 6, 2, 4, 6. Alrighty. Now we are going to join to our first single crochet here under both loops, like we did earlier. Now what? Chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, slip stitch in the same stitch as joining. Okay, slip stitch in the next single crochet here, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chains. I have a tiny thread, that's where it doesn't belong. Move over. There we go. That was 5. Slip stitch back into the same stitch. Okay. Slip stitch into the next. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Slip stitch back into the stitch we started from. Slip stitch into the next. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Slip stitch back there again. Slip stitch in the next. Chain 5. Slip stitch back into the stitch that we came from, like so. And now here's our last stitch we're going to work into. This is our previous join, so we're going to slip stitch into here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Slip stitch back in there, like so, and fasten off. Leave a tail. Okay. Just pulling the tail to the back because that's probably where I'll want it to be eventually. Again, I'll decide about whether to close this or leave it later. And I think that will be all for today. So that next time we should be able to do 5 and maybe finish up, depends, but here's what we did. And yeah, that'll be it for this one. So hope this is helpful, and I'll see you next time.